Hey guys, Stealth here. Welcome to Offworld Trading Company. Today we're going to Mars, or rather, we have already colonized Mars. That's the story of this game. We have the start of a colony on Mars, and it's going to be our job to make it a very lucrative business to supply that company with resources, that colony with resources. Of course, we will not be the only one there. No, we're not shooting aliens this time, we are dealing with competitive companies, and it's going to be our job to keep those guys at bay, make sure that they don't buy our company, and make sure that we buy theirs instead. So we become the largest business on the planet, and as such, become the most lucrative business there. Now, to be fair, I am not very good at this game. I am still learning how to get the best results. I think I've played, what is it by now? I think 10, maybe 15 skirmish games so far, and I haven't won a single one. Yeah, that's how bad I am at the game at the moment. So if you have any experience with this game, and you think that you have a couple of useful tips, then be sure to put those in the comments, because I'm really interested to get better in this game. Now there's going to be a lot going on, and for that I'm going to be starting a skirmish match, and sort of explaining you what's going on. And to make sure I have enough time doing that, I'm going to set it to the easiest difficulty. And as such, this is going to be a little bit more of an explanation video of sorts than an actual gameplay video. So at least you have an idea of what's going on. I'm going to set it up so I am aligned with 3 AI players. These guys are not set to particularly high difficulty. Map size is going to be medium, and that should do. Now you can see the location can be Mars. There's also a DLC that you can use, and the DLC gives you the capability of going to, I believe, Io, one of, if I'm recalling correctly, Jupiter's moons. But that is something that I don't have yet, so it's just going to be Mars. Let's get going. Here we are. Welcome to Mars. The situation that you can see now is that we have a UI with a ton of information. There is a lot going on, and there's a lot that the interface is trying to tell you. On the left hand side you can see all the resources that are currently in the game. Now, the good news is that I don't have to get all of these for myself. If I can, for example, mine iron and then turn that into steel, I can sell that to my competitors, because they're going to need steel to build their own buildings. By doing that, I can make a profit. If, however, steel turns out to be really, really cheap, then I might be able to be better off buying the steel from a competitor rather than trying to produce it myself, and instead focus on, for example, building electronics. Now what you can see here is the colony that's been established. This is New Chicago. It's a, I believe, level 5 colony. Is that what that means? What you can see here is that they have a couple of habitat modules. These habitat modules are demanding water, food, and oxygen. And as this colony continues to grow, their demands continue to grow. They need more supply. So if I can sell them water, food, and oxygen, I'm going to be able to turn a profit. At this rate, however, 0.08, it's not really going to be that lucrative. But this is really tiny for a colony. These guys can get really, really large. Over here you can see offices. These have hack bonuses. And this is one of the buildings that you can build later on in the game, but I'm not going to go into that just yet. Now you can see all of these spikes here, all of these icons. And my cursor is changed into a sort of eyeball. This means that if I click here, I can see what resources there are on these tiles. You have different resources and different levels of resource. You can see that I have now discovered there is water on Mars. Yes, cool NASA, there is water on Mars. You have these deposits in the tiny versions, that's 1 block, medium, that's 2 blocks, and there are tiles which have 3 blocks of water. Now I also discovered a little bit of silicon. It's not going to be that important just yet. And as you can see, there is quite a lot of the map to discover. Now, There is, however, a downside to just trying to click your way through the map and discover more and more of it. Because the more you do it, the more you give the enemy competition, or the enemy companies, so the competition, an opportunity to find their companies on a resource-rich tile. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the video, the objective here is to become the biggest company. And you do that by making sure that the resources or the products that you're selling are going to be the most valuable while not paying as much for them. So if I would to say I'm going to be selling electronics, because at the moment the price tag for one electronic unit is $100. That would be far more lucrative than going, for example, into the water market, because people only pay 20 for water. Now, there are various buildings which can help you get more resources, so bring them in faster. And there are buildings which can help you ship them off-world. That's the off-world market. As you can see here, there are various different prices to be paid for these resources. So if I were to launch a batch of 100 waters of 100 units of water, I would be getting $12,000 for that. You also have the opportunity to just try and monopolize one of the resources. And if you do that, you might be able to sell them really, really expensively. For now, I'm just going to be doing a few scans and getting a bit of a feel for the lay of the land here.
High levels of aluminum found.
Now you can see that carbon so far only has one high carbon deposit. We have one high aluminum deposit, and both of these are pretty important resources. They are both used in various production chains. Now, let's see what we have over here. It's all very small and low-level resources. It's not really very interesting.
A geothermal vent. This will be useful. High levels.
Oh, by the way, we have found what is a geothermal vent. You can see it there. If you put down a geothermal plant over this, you can get a lot of energy produced. Energy can be produced by wind turbines, which can be shut down if there's not enough wind, I believe. You have solar panels, which generate quite a bit of energy but only work throughout the day. And you have the geothermal plants, which work all the time, day and night, can be sabotaged, but they generate quite a lot of power. And especially later on in the game, power becomes really important.
A scientific HQ
Ooh,
has
look
been
at this.
founded.
We have a lot of resources here.
HQ has been founded.
In the meanwhile, these guys are not exactly sitting still, and we have Rennie 6-1. Sorry, Rennie 6, that's the fourth AI player. He decided to go with an AI scientific HQ. That's one of the types of companies that you can build. And he decided to land at or near the iron deposit. Fortunately, there seems to be plenty of iron, so I don't think that iron is going to be particularly expensive this game. We also have Macy Song. She is going to be a scavenger, and she decided to land right next to the water deposit that we scouted initially. Now, this tells me a little bit about these guys. I know that scavengers require quite a bit of carbon. And one of the ways that they build their buildings is by pumping quite a bit of carbon units into being able to buy them. So if I can drive up the price of carbon, I can make them very, very poor, and as such make them a likely candidate for a hostile takeover. So the carbon deposit that we've scouted over here, that one, could be very interesting to mine for myself. Of course, it might not be the only one. There might still be others. And the map is still pretty large. I still haven't explored all of it. Let's see. That's just a bit of water.
An expansive HQ has been founded.
There's the next one. Polo Rubini with the expansive HQ. Here's the companies that you can build. Seneca is the expansive one. They get additional tile claims, and I'll explain what those are later. They get a little bit less requirements for steel, and their units travel a lot faster. Yoshimi Robotics, we don't have these in the current map. These guys do not require life supports. It's just a pure robot race, as it were, a pure robot company. And they are rather reliant on electronics. Then you have the New Meridians. This is the Science HQ. These guys are more efficient with resources and they're able to acquire specific scientific breakthroughs, so sort of tech tree unlocks faster. And then we have the Scavengers. These are sort of the nasties because they can use the black market, which I'm going to go into further detail on in a minute. The black market can be used to sabotage enemy buildings, enemy resources, or turn them to work for you. These guys use carbon, as I mentioned, instead of steel. They tend to grow extremely quickly. They are rather dangerous at that. Now, these guys all need resources. The scavengers, the expansionists, and the scientific, they all need food. If I'm going robotics, and mind you, I can still pick Seneca, for example, but if I'm going robotics, I can get food up and running, which these guys are all going to need. You can see that the starting price of food seems to be 60, which is pretty good, although I have seen prices go as high as 500 a piece. And actually, I think that that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up near the colony, which means that I'm going to be able to supply it with food a bit easier, as well as claim tiles that are near to it. Let's see, I can, however, land on a position that would be beneficial. You can see that, here we go. Macy's Song, the scavenger, has already claimed these tiles. So they have already secured their own carbon demands, their own carbon requirements. This is aluminum. I'm going to need quite a bit of electronics to be made if I am going for Yoshimi. And electronics are made with silicon, I believe aluminum, and what was the other one? Carbon, maybe? Let's have a check. Manufacturers. Electronics. Aluminum, carbon, silicon. Those are the resources that I'm going to need. At least in order to build my own electronics factory. If I want one, that is. If I'm going pure food, then I might not even need to do that. Quite a bit of water there. Now water's price is still pretty low, because we have a lot of supply at the moment. Now all the while I'm scanning, these guys are plunking down their resource claims and making sure that I cannot get the additional tiles. So I need to be moving ahead, actually. I don't think this is going to be too interesting. Actually, it's not that bad. We have a lot of iron here. And a lot of iron on these tiles. It's just that there's a lot of iron on the map already. I don't feel obligated to claim it just yet. Now, every time I scan, the time progresses. And every time I scan, these guys get a bit further ahead. So it's time to start making a move. I'm going to claim quite a bit of water, because farms run on water, and if I can get that thing done quickly, then that will help. So I could say I'm going to go right down here, and I immediately claim these resources, but they just disappear. It's like you're strip mining them, which is not ideal. I would like to have that triple stack of water. Over here, I could get a bit of aluminum and water. This is actually a pretty good spot, because I can take up some of these tiles. I can immediately get water from there. Yeah, this is what we're going to do. Alright. Now, let's start claiming some tiles. First, I'm going to set up a water pump. This thing is not going to be particularly lucrative just yet, because the price is so low. But I will be needing it for my own resources. I will be needing it for my food factories. What I'm going to do before that is just upgrade my robotics HQ to level 2. I can immediately do that because I have enough cash. There we go. Now I have 10 tiles I can claim. I can claim a tile like this. I can say this is mine, and now nobody else can build on that. The same happens if you construct a pump or another sort of resource on a tile. So this one is now mine. I'm also going to try and claim some high value resources that these guys might need, such as carbon. Unfortunately, he already took the high value carbon, but this one could still be useful. And considering that I might need it in my electronics factories, I'm going to claim that one. I also want to have a little bit of supply of silicon. Let's see if there's any decent tiles. See, this is a 1, this is a 1, and this is a 2 yield. So that's the best tiles that there are still available. I'm going to claim that one. Next, I want to have an electronics factory, because these things are rather important in building your factory further, or building your HQ and your base further. I'm just not going to do it quite yet. What I do want to have is a bit of space next to the colony. The reason for this being that you can build what is called the pleasure dome. Take that as you will. The pleasure dome can be constructed next to these things, and the more of these colony habitation modules are nearby, the more money they generate. So if I place a claim here, there is not going to be a module for the colony going to be put down there, which means that I can build one of my pleasure domes. Next, I might need water. Sorry, I might need geothermal, so energy. Especially late game, energy becomes more important. And while I'm not going to need all of them just yet, I am going to claim these tiles so that the AI simply does not have the opportunity of claiming these things before I do. These things are now mine, and they cannot be built on by the AI. So later on in the game, I'm going to be deploying a couple of geothermal plants, and with those I'm going to be generating a lot of energy. And once the energy gets generated, I can sell off the excess. I can sell off what I don't need. Next up, time to get some greenhouses going. Now you get an adjacency bonus, not so much next to your HQ, but the moment it starts to get away from the HQ, you're going to be paying resources to get those things to and from your HQ. I don't really need that. I'm going to place it right there. I'm going to place a second one as soon as I can get to it, though, because my current money is 2105 and I need 2700 to build another greenhouse. I could sell off a bit of aluminum if I want to, but I'm going to need quite a bit of aluminum to keep upgrading my own HQ and get more of these land claims. Alright, so that's that. Fuel is going to be important later on. Let's see. I have claimed the energy. I could claim another aluminum mine. Look at that, a triple tile. You are mine. Aluminum is one of those resources that initially tends to get cheap and just develops from there. It can tend to become rather expensive. Now, something else that I haven't mentioned is the black market down here. For 2000 you can purchase another land claim if you're running low on these things. The moment that you buy one of these, it becomes more expensive. So the next person who wants to buy one is probably going to be paying 4,000 and then I think 8, and then it progresses from there. A mule is a resource gatherer. It's a sort of robot that gets sent out towards a resource, gathers 200 of them, and comes back. Really handy. Filthy pirates are those guys that you deploy next to an enemy supply line, and they will just harvest resources from there. EMP shuts down buildings for quite a while. Dynamite will destroy an enemy building, just utterly devastate it. Mutiny makes a building work for you, and the Goon Squad is there to basically protect you from all the nasty things that the enemy can throw at you. And then lastly, over here we have the companies. This is mine. We have Macy's Song, we have Paulo Rubini, and Rennie 6. Now you can see that my stock price at the moment is 19.12 and still going up, because my company is continually getting more valuable.
The black market is online.
the more valuable your company it
A
is,
scavenger HQ has been upgraded.
the more difficult it will be for the enemy companies to take you over. So that's one of the reasons why you want to drive up your stock price. As you can see, I am currently not making money because I'm losing money on power. I am, however, generating a decent amount of water. So we're going to sell off 100 points of water. And I cannot quite afford my geothermal plant yet, but I can afford another greenhouse. But already power is getting quite expensive. You can see the price is still rising. It's in the 80s already. It just keeps going up from there. So the sooner I can get one of my plants to start generating energy for me, the better it will be. Because my biggest expense at the moment is power. And it is going to rise or bring my debt up rather quickly. Now fortunately I have some resources that I can sell. Watch what happens. If I sell these, I can sell 10, or I can hold shift and sell 100 units of them, and I currently have 100. The price is immediately going to go down because the supply rises, and as such the price lessens. So here we go. Boom. Sold all of my aluminum. Price immediately dropped from 40 to 27. Did get me a bit of money, but still not enough to build a geothermal plant. I could also sell a bit of food. Not quite there yet. We need to get to 13k. And I don't know if I have enough resource to get that done. See, I would like to keep my electronics because I'm going to need those, and they're rather expensive to buy back. So I'm just going to wait for my resources to continue to build, or to continue to get generated, and then build a geothermal plant. Now you can see the price of this plant is varying. It keeps going from 11 to 12. That's because the price of steel keeps varying. The price of steel currently is 115, 107. Now the plant's going to be slightly cheaper at 10k. And it just keeps adjusting prices of new factories and of your own resource chain depending on the market supply and demand for the specific resource that you're looking at. So I'm just going to get this thing done. There we go. It's going to take a bit of time. Once that's done, I should not be as worried about power as I am now. Because right now, power is driving up my debt like crazy. I can still claim one tile. And considering that steel is running pretty expensive, I might consider going for steel. However, energy is even more expensive. Energy is going to be even more lucrative to sell off.
A scavenger HQ has been upgraded.
There we go, the scavenger HQ already level 3, which gives them additional land claims.
A new claim is available for
My
auction.
geothermal plant is almost done, and in the meanwhile we have an auction. I can claim, or I can buy an additional claim for currently 7,000. If I were to go through the black market, that would still be cheaper. So I'm not going to join this bidding, I'm just going to skip it. 183 for power? We just started. There we go. I'm no longer losing money on power, I'm actually getting money because I'm selling off excess power. And as such, my debt is no longer going up. Now, it would be nice if I could get another one of those geothermal plants going and sell off additional power to competitors. So we're going to sell off a bit more of my resources. And I'm going to build a second geothermal plant. Now again, I'm not an expert at this game by any stretch of the imagination. Let's claim that one. So, it's possible that I'm making all sorts of mistakes. That I'm doing everything wrong that you can be doing wrong. If so, forgive me and please give me pointers on what I could be doing better. Or just visit a different channel if you're interested in how to actually play this game the proper way. Now my debt is currently 32,000. Not very good, but still not as bad as I had it. I'm paying 9% interest rate over that debt. every night. There you go. 9% interest,
An expansive
2,900.
HQ has been upgraded.
Fortunately, my resources are going, or my units are going pretty well. If I just sell almost 100 units of food, I would be able to get 15,000. I'm going to use that to sell off a little bit of my debt. And I also want to start to work on upgrading my HQ to level 3 so I have more land claims and I can build more buildings. Now I have a lot of carbon, but I'm not going to sell it off just yet because the price just isn't right. It's not high enough. So it's not really worth it to be selling off these units just yet. Food, on the other hand, definitely worth it. And as you can see, with my second geothermal power plant up and running, I'm generating $450 every tick, or every second. And as such, my debt is automatically being paid off. And once that thing is done, I'm going to be generating money, which will allow me to quickly get a little bit more done towards upgrading my robotics HQ to level 3. Of course, keep in mind, I'm playing this at the easiest difficulty. Once you're playing at higher difficulty levels, this is nowhere near as easy as you're seeing it right now. And that's usually the level I play at.
We have a hard-to-come-by land claim
The
available
claim,
to the highest bidder.
I might want this one, because the next claim for the black market is 10k. See, alternatively, I could say, well, I'm not going to join this claim or this auction, because upgrading my HQ is 10, and that's going to give me a couple of additional claims. So I'm not going to be joining this auction.
Congratulations.
Look at that. He's already level 4. Or she, maybe I should say. Alright, we are now a level 4, giving me 4 land claims. Considering that the price of food is really high at the moment, I'm going to be putting down 2 additional food factories as soon as I can afford it. And generating a bit more food. They took out... Damn it, they took out one of my geothermal power plants. And the other one that is being constructed... Sorry, it's not being constructed yet. I didn't give the order yet, so it's not actually doing anything. This one's going to be shut down for another 80 seconds. That's quite a while. It's quite expensive to have that thing shut down for that long. Now, with this colony growing, I also want to put down a pleasure dome. These things go at 9.7 at the moment. This should help. These things generate pure cash. They don't generate any resources, it's just pure cash. So I'm going to claim that spot right there. This is going to take a bit of time to get built. You can see the construction ship as it is going towards that position. And moving towards the position where it's going to plunk down that pleasure dome. And right now it is taking a little bit of power. And with one of my geothermal power plants down, thanks to that EMP, I'm not generating as much power, and I'm actually starting to pay a little bit for power. So I'm very much looking forward to building another geothermal power plant. And yes, I may be going over the top of these power plants, but power is just so expensive that it's really starting to get worth it. And you can see that some of these companies are also building or buying shares in their own companies to drive up the stock price.
I wonder what goes on in there.
And what they're doing that way is making sure... Oh, hang on. Rennie 6 is building a pleasure dome. I don't want that. We're going to take that one down. No more pleasure dome.
I hate those filthy bandits.
Done. I want to have the only pleasure dome here. But I want to have the pleasure dome to have more effect. I'm going to build a patent lab. And we're going to put that over there. The patent lab can make your units more, well, not especially more profitable. They can. It's just depending on what resource or research you pick. You can still, that food is still doing really, really well. 25,000 already. Because I'm throwing quite a bit of money onto the market, the price, or sorry, quite a bit of resources onto the market, the price is dropping. Now they have, this is a hacker array. These hacker arrays are really useful. What you can do, Where is it? There it is. The hacker array allows you to manipulate the prices. So this is definitely something that I want to get. Because if I could drive up the price of food even higher, I can convince these guys that the price, or that there is a shortage. And a shortage is good for me, because I'm generating the resource. Here we go, got it. I'm generating the resource. And the higher the price, the better my selling price is going to be. So I'm going to send out the hackers to, or have the hackers send out disinformation, convincing them that there is a food shortage. And if there is a food shortage, these guys are going to think, oh crap, and they're going to start paying more. It is costing me a bit of money to get the hackers to raise the prices, but just watch what the price of food is going to do. It started at 160, it's now 165, and at 100 units that really makes a difference, because I'm paying 100 times 6 already, or I'm getting 100 times 6 units, or $6, so that's 600. But it's not even done yet. This thing's going to run for 40 seconds.
The patent lab is constructed.
Okay,
Let's
excellent.
get
My
our
patent lab
science
is
on.
done. The patent lab is a sort of resource or research building. Now, one of the things that I would like is virtual reality, because it gives my Pleasure Dome another 50% additional profit. So I'm going to get that one. You can also get nanotech, recycles resources when scrapping buildings. I'm not likely to do that. Cold fusion, buildings are powered with water if it is cheaper than power. At the moment, power is really, really cheap. And I'm actually losing a bit of resource. I'm consuming more water than I'm generating. So this one's not too useful. Carbon scrubbing makes buildings that need carbon collected directly from the atmosphere. This, for example, for the harvesters or the scavengers would be extremely valuable. Slant drilling, you can mine into adjacent tiles. Thinking machines, minus 50% sabotage damage. So if the buildings are close to your HQ, it is of sorts defended, or the building is of sorts defended by the HQ. And then teleportation allows you to beam resources directly from one side to the next, instead of, as you can see here, using these transport ships. And it seems that we have a solar flare, and this would explain why the price for electricity is so low.
Open for business.
The reason for this is that the solar panels are generating a lot more power, and of course with the additional solar power there's going to be a lot more energy on the market, and as you can see the energy market has completely crashed to just $5. This is basically the same thing as what happens when you're looking at gas prices, and you can see that the gas prices are going down. That's because there's more oil on the market than the market may need. Now let's upgrade the HQ. I have 6 new claims.
Manipulations to begin shortly.
Food is still doing really well, so I'm going to get an additional food factory. And I'm going to sell off quite a bit in order to get a bit more cash so I can build some more units or some more stuff. I already have a hacker array, so I won't particularly need that. I have my patent lab working on making this thing more expensive or more lucrative. I could get another one for 103.94. It's not particularly good. And the closer they are, the better. That's not really worth it. Let's see what the off-market... what's it called again? The off-world market is going to bring. I could launch shipments of 100 food. That would get me 18,000. But if I were to sell them here, I would only get 12. So this is actually lucrative. This is okay. If I were to sell 100 here, I would get 720. So this is way better. We have carbon going for 1,400 or 12,000. And 100 silicon is going to get me a little bit more if I sell it on Mars itself. Now what I'm going to try to do is save up for the off-world market. Before that though, I want to build an optimization center. This thing is going to make my factories more efficient. So it's going to get them more resources. Or allow them to generate more resources.
Scientific HQ has been upgraded.
Let's get the hackers to once again
Scavenger HQ
tell them
has
there's a
been
food
upgraded.
shortage. Look at the price jumping up. 183. Oh yeah. This is going to get quite a bit of cash. Done. 59,000. Now I'm going to build one, or I'm going to buy one of the stock bundles. This is 1,000 shares of stock in my own company, driving up my price and making me less likely of a candidate to be taken over. This one, at the moment, is pretty much ranked player 2, or the next player beyond me, because their price is 24.11. So I'm going to buy one of their shares. And the more shares I get, the better the chances of a buyout. So I can completely absorb the company. And then it becomes a subsidiary and it generates money for me.
Optimization center is ready. Time to start.
Okay, the optimization center is ready. Excellent. With food still going really well, I'm going to get the Acquire Improved Food Production upgrade. Buildings that generate food will produce 25% more. Very, very nice. It's a really cheap investment for only 4,500. So let's get that thing done. And immediately go for the second one as well. I still have 4 land claims, and I probably should have been using these. The resource that jumps out at me here is glass. Glass is looking really expensive. Now the good news is that I have all the resources that I need for glass. I'm already generating power. I have a large store of silicon. I would need oxygen, and oxygen is running at 73. So that's okay, it's not too bad. So if I can get a bit more cash, and there we go, I can now get a glass kiln built. And this glass kiln is going to allow me to build glass. Not so much that I need it, but others need it. And that is definitely worth it. I'm going to sell glass to auto sell, so anything that gets there we go. Anything that gets produced, any glass, immediately gets sold off to the market. Shit, just got hit by an EMP. Most of my buildings are now offline. Just my power generation is operational, my pleasure dome, and that's just about it. Now this bastard once again built a pleasure dome.
I'm not sure how you can buy a magnetic storm, but there's one up for auction now.
There you go. Okay, magnetic storm is for sale. Destroys all units except pirates and mules within the tile radius. This is one of those things that you can use to immediately destroy a lot of resource gatherers or these shipping vessels that are taking resources from mines and bringing them back to the HQ.
Congratulations.
I just don't want it right now because I am mostly working on getting the off-world market. That's what I would most like to get.
An expansive HQ has been upgraded.
Now, let's see. These things generate additional launch speed for my missile. And, sorry, the rockets. These rockets launch every minute, but if I can park them right next to 2, if not 3 of these, I can get a 30% bonus. So I'm not going to be able to build it just yet, but I'm claiming the tile in advance, making sure that I can get this position when I need it. And somebody just mutinied my water pump. Here we go. They mutinied my water pump. So I'm no longer generating water. Somebody else is getting the water. Time to get a bit of cash. 70,000. I still need a couple units more. Look at that. The glass kilns are now online.
The black market is online.
They're immediately generating 541 every tick. So every unit that gets built gets immediately sold off. And I'm generating a lot of cash here. Unfortunately, my water, with that water pump being offline, is not doing very well. Let's see. I can go for another triple there, a triple there, a triple here. There's a lot of water on the market at the moment. This is going to give me 1.2. I think I'm going to get the adjacency bonus, but it's just not showing because this thing is still mutinied for another 70 seconds. Price of water itself is doing really well, so let's just send one of those over there. Now with the patent lab, I'm going to get, if it's still available... No, damn it, he already patented teleportation. I was hoping to beam the water directly to my factories, but that's not going to happen. Anyway, this is where I'm going to cut the video. Next video is probably going to be the second half of this playthrough. And hopefully building my off-world rocket or my off-world market so that I can start sending my resources into space and start buying up these companies. I hope you enjoyed it. It is quite different from the games that you have seen on this channel previously. It is very, very economical, and I think it's a nice change from other things, from other games. If it's not for you, then by all means, don't get it. It's not a game that's for everyone. I definitely recognize that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments, and I'll see you soon for the next part of Offworld Market.